Hi and welcome to the Booklab. I'm Björn and it's time to look at the releases for February 2025. I have 7 books for you this month. The list covers everything from electrification, choice psychology, space economics, homelessness, tech, everything will be covered. So just strap on your seatbelts and we'll jump right into the list. 2025 is rolling on full steam ahead, and I have a list of 7 books for you. We're just gonna jump right into it. I have very bad lighting today because my main light broke, so I hope you have some understanding for that, and I hope I improve that to next time. But the first book is Inevitable: Inside the Messy, Unstoppable Transition to Electric Vehicles. I don't know if you have electric vehicles. I have an old gasoline car or diesel car. But this book is from Colias. It's out on February 4th. It's 320 pages. A sweeping portrait of the EV transformation and what it means to us all. EVs are, of course, short for electrical vehicles. The question is no longer if electrical vehicles will happen or even when they will happen, but how they will happen. Veteran automotive reporter Mike Colias takes you inside the transformation in this thoroughly reported profile of the hard pivot in the car industry, a $2 trillion industry undergoing the biggest change in its 120-year history. A change that is already sending ripples across the entire global economy. And of course, if you look around and if you follow the car markets, European old vintage car companies are struggling hard in the transition into electrical, while you see full steam ahead in Asia and of course in America with Tesla. So the war is on, and it's also a transformation of the type of company it is. Like a car manufacturer back in the days was very different from the new modern cars that we see today. They are more like computers on wheels, and eventually these auto manufacturers will be the ones that makes the robots that will you would see a lot about starting this year, but it will fully take on speed probably in 26, 27. Inevitable is a deeply enjoyable and smart book that uses masterful storytelling to capture the expense and dynamism of the transition to electric vehicles in profound detail, bringing life on its seismic effects on everything and everyone. Sounds like a delightful read, in my opinion. The next book is Win the Inside Game: How to Move from Surviving to Thriving and Free Yourself Up to Perform. This is by Stephen Magness. It's out on 4th of February and it's 320 pages. Steve Magness is a world-renowned expert on performance. He's the author of the international bestseller Do Hard Things. I thought this book deserved a quick mention since Do Hard Things, which is on my reading list and I actually have it stacked away somewhere here, is kind of deemed as a modern classic by the self-development corner of the non-fiction community. Quote, in this highly anticipated book, the best-selling author flips the script on the pursuit of excellence, shifting our thinking from high-stress survival mode to fulfillment-oriented thriving mode to create sustainable success at the highest level. This book is an essential read for anyone interested in self-discovery and meaning in life across the board. In what is an essential read for anyone interested in self-discovery and meaningful success. So that might be a book worth checking out, but we have another one here. Sophia Rosenfeld, The Age of Choice, A History of Freedom in Modern Life. This one is out on February 4th. It's 480 pages long. Choices touches virtually every aspect of our lives, from what we buy to where we live to whom we love and what profession we choose to engage in, and even what we believe in. But the options to choose in such matters was not something we always possessed or even aspired to. And for you that have read a lot of psychology around choice, for instance, know that there is a backside to having too much choice in life as well. For instance, the more time we spend pondering our options, let's say we're gonna decide for what kind of insurance issuer we're gonna go with. The more time we spend making the choice and the more we invest in that choice, the more disappointed we get with the option that we pick. It turns out that not only are we not very good at realizing our personal desires, we are also overwhelmed with too many possibilities and anxious about what best to select. There are societal costs too. So how did this all happen? That's what this book is about. It's about how we came to the age of choice, basically. It sounds like a fantastic and interesting read and something very different from many other books. Drawing from a wealth of resources ranging from novelists and restaurant menus to the latest scientific findings about choice in psychology and economics, The Age of Choice urges us to rethink the meaning of choice and its promises and its limitations in modern life. Next book is from Barry Lamb, Fewer Rules, Better People, The Case for Discretion. This book is out on February 11th. It's 176 pages. A philosopher argues that the proliferation of rules and mandates is making us dumber, less moral and more deceptive, and less able to govern important institutions. A fascinating subject. I've touched on this before, and I think it's especially important right now. My first issues that came to the amount of rules that we have in society at large. It was when I tried to start my own company back in the day, and I ran into this wall of hoops and loops and barriers. Just the amount of hoops you have to jump in order to do something was shocking to me. So it's very interesting to see how things play out today, especially when we see countries like Argentina tearing out rules, simplify all kinds of legislations, reducing the amount of laws. The same trend is starting to hit the US right now, while in Europe and the European Union especially, they have the opposite strategy where they try to regulate everything they can get their hands on, from how people live their lives, spend their money, to how bottle caps are attached to plastic bottles. So it's going to be super interesting to see how these two very opposing strategies play out and who fare the best in the long run. Wherever there's a rule, there is someone with the power to apply it or ignore it or add to it in the interest of justice. From enforcing shores to issuing life sentences, decision makers deliver flawed and sometimes arbitrary outcomes. But is their use of discretion good or bad overall? Fewer Rules, Better People is a bold, riveting treatise that shed new light on political debates about law and justice, aiming to prepare us for the imminent threat of more perfect, discretionless rule enforced by AI. I don't fully get what this book is about, but it sounds like from the description, but I'm interested to learn more, so I added it to the list. The next book is by Kevin Fagan, The Lost and the Found, a true story of homelessness, found families, and second chances. Out on February 11th, 288 pages, and a powerful and deeply reported narrative of homelessness, despair, and hope. This book is set in San Francisco, one of the wealthiest cities in America. It takes an empathic, character-driven approach to exploring the human side of what's behind the homelessness epidemic. I've been in San Francisco, where this book plays out where it's originated. And when I came there, I was shocked to see all the homelessness, all the drug addicts, all of that because where I grew up in Sweden, we had homelessness was unheard of basically throughout my childhood. So it was very exotic and very sad. I went there again recently, and the situation was even worse. I was there for a conference, and it was shocking, the development. Of course, when I was there the second time, I was a bit more jaded, as homelessness has also become a problem in Sweden, but not at all at the same extent as in San Francisco. So I added this book to the list because I want to understand what I saw there, because it was quite unbelievable. The Lost and Found has the potential to change the way you see and help the homeless. So this book is on the list because I want to have some more insight to something that can explain what I actually experienced being in San Francisco. The next book is The Technological Republic, Hard Power, Soft Belief, and the Future of the West. It's out on February 18th. It's 320 pages. Quote, "A fascinating and important read," says Walter Isaacson, one of my favorite biographers. "Silicon Valley has lost its way." This book is basically a tech maximizer's view on the current state of Silicon Valley. Our most brilliant engineering minds once collaborated with government to advance world-changing technologies. Their efforts secured the West's dominant place in the geopolitical order, but that relationship has now eroded, with perilous repercussions. The author argues that instead of making photo sharing apps and program shopping algorithms, engineers and the top minds should focus on solving the big issue, often polarizing issues in tech, and make sure that the US is basically at the forefront of importing technologies and can protect their national security. Arguing that in order for the US and its allies to retain their global edge and preserve the freedoms that we take for granted, the software industry must renew its commitment to addressing our most urgent challenges, including the new arms race of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, artificial intelligence. Even when I first look at the books, when I pick them, I don't know that they are about artificial intelligence, but it feels like almost every other book touches on this subject. It's a huge subject, so I hope you don't get too tired of it. This seems like a quite harsh book, very stern and very serious tone. I like it. It sounds very interesting. So we end the list today by going out into space. Space to Grow, Unlocking the Final Economic Frontier by Matthew Weinzierl and Brendan Rosseau. It's out on February 25th, and it's 320 pages. The book uses the compelling stories of change makers and the tools of economics to the transformation and future possibilities of the business and economics of space. There is something about the idea of expanding the human presence to other planets and out beyond the surface of Earth that it's very exciting to me. I don't know if it's something that just gives us hope in a time of uncertainty. It could be. It was like that back in the old space race. But I just think it's fascinating. I love seeing like SpaceX catch the rockets with those arms. It's just, there's something there. There's something there that's very powerful and brings a kind of tears to my eyes. So I'm very excited that we're going into this era where we actually try to take space seriously and actually go out there and explore. A wave of companies led by gutsy entrepreneurs are unlocking opportunities that fire the imagination and open up new business models. This revolution is uncovering the simple but unfamiliar truth that space is a place. A place where countries, markets, and each of us can play a vital role in realizing some of our biggest, boldest dreams. But we don't succeed by dreams alone. The space economy is just that, an economy. So this book promises to teach us about the economics of space and how that could be built. It sounds absolutely fascinating. So it's a quick list this month. A lot of good books. I hope you think so too. And let me know in the comments which one of these are your favorites. Because now I'm going to also pick my favorite, my pick of the month. Of course, I haven't prepared, so I'm just going to check through the list real quick. I often do this. I cheat and pick 2 books. So I'm going to pick my pick of the month. And it's going to be Space to Grow, Unlocking the Final Economic Frontier. It touches on economics, which is one of the topics that I'm interested in really now. And it's really interesting to see how that expands into space, because that also needs to touch on first principles as well, as you have to build an economy from ground up. And there's a lot of pitfalls there. So that would be an interesting space to explore, something that I haven't read about before. And secondly, I would actually read the book about EVs. What was the name? Inevitable: Inside the Messy, Unstoppable Transition to Electric Vehicles. The reason I want to read this is not because I'm interested in electrical vehicles per se. I think that's a pretty bland idea, but the steps beyond that is the most interesting. There's 2 interesting aspects for me. It's who will build and construct the robots that will perform the job for societies in the future. I suspect these car companies have the manufacturing capabilities that maybe software companies doesn't have, and then they would be a natural fit for evolving into robot factories, which is interesting to me. And the second reason I find this interesting is because I love to read up on societal transitioning from the old automotive system into a more tech-focused company that is what the new cars actually are, and that will have a lot of consequences. So that's going to be really interesting. And that's the list. So I'm back next week with more book reviews. I have a bunch of them coming up, so stay tuned and see you then. Happy reading, everyone. Have a good February and see you later. Ciao. Björn out.